Domestic violence and sexual assaults in New Orleans are at an unprecedented high.
Nationwide, more than 10 million people are victims of abuse every year, while hotlines receive an average of 20,000 calls. This is every day. But shame or fear of retaliation are not being believed and can often mean the crime is never reported.
In part one of this exclusive series, Eleanor Tabone explains how and why many suffer in silence.
February 2nd, 2016. Calls started flooding dispatch with witnesses pleading for help. Their calls describing a harrowing scene. A woman thrown from a moving car on the Crescent City connection. Travel Wells hurled from that car like an object. The white lines on the road, the last thing she saw before everything went black. New Orleans police rushed to the scene, onlookers shocked by the bloody aftermath of this senseless act of violence. Their then 35-year-old Travel Wells left broken and motionless by a man she once loved.
I'm about to say, okay.
Her smile exudes comfort and light, but underneath is a woman who's endured more pain than one could simply imagine.
The person I dated in high school was my son's father. But like I said, we had a good relationship. It was a good 5 years.
Tralva and her then partner, Dave Turner Sr., were engaged, and soon after, she found out she was pregnant.
But everything was good up until I had my son, and then I just don't understand what happened. It was like the arguments got worse, and then once he put his hands on me, I had to go.
6 years went by and Tralva moved on. Unbeknownst to her, things were about to take a dark turn.
I was getting ready to go to a funeral one morning, and I was getting ready to walk out the door. I opened my side door, and I turned, and I got hit. I didn't even know what I got hit with. I just got hit. I almost was at my own funeral. And what he told me was, I'm about to make your life a living hell.
That's exactly what he did. Tralva tried to escape, but she didn't make it.
He caught me on the side of the house, and we were fighting. Then he dragged me all the way back inside. We're fighting going down the hallway. He got me to my room. He was trying to take my clothes off, but I wouldn't budge. So he started choking me. And when I don't know if I just passed out or what happened, but when I got back up, I had no clothes on. And the man was on top of me. And he was having sex with me, and I was unconscious. So when I realized what was going on, of course, I'm trying to push him off of me. I'm screaming, I'm yelling, we're fighting again. He chokes me again.
Tralva says in this moment, she thought she was going to die in her very bed.
Pulled me all the way down my hallway, pulled me out my house, and then got me into his SUV.
Her only thought was her son, and she knew time was ticking.
I know if he get me to his house, I know I ain't gonna never be seen again. So I looked down and I saw that I had my mace in my purse. So when I picked it up, all I did was sprayed it because I just wanted him to slow the car down. I didn't think he was gonna do what he did.
No one could imagine the extent this man would go to.
He took his hand off of the steering wheel, reached over me, opened that passenger side door, swung it open, and took this shoulder. And when that door came open, I begged him. I said, don't do it. I don't know what you're about to do, but don't do it. I said, we both have a son. Don't do it. I begged him. I pleaded. I was begging, and he took this shoulder and pushed.
The fragility of life disregarded.
All I remember is hitting that ground.
Staff at University Medical Center worked to save her life. Her family were called to say their goodbyes, doctors fearing she wouldn't make it.
My leg was like almost hanging off. All you seen was bone. It was no skin. It was no meat.
Her injuries were extensive.
Both of my knuckles was busted open. My skull was busted open on the top. I had bruises going all the way, all these little black spots you see, it was all open meat. It was no skin. I had no skin on my arms. My back, I had no skin on my back.
Surgery after surgery, doctors worked to put her back together again.
And it got to the point where I told the doctor, I said, after week 2, I said, I can't do this no more. I said, I know I got a son at home, that I love to death, but I can't do this anymore.
But 14 surgeries and 3 years later, she made it.
According to the New Orleans Family Justice Center, domestic violence intakes are up 33% from 2023. This year alone, from January to May, 4 women sought help from the centre after suffering gunshot wounds. For the same time period, 3 men and 6 women were stabbed by intimate partners or spouses.
31-year-old Tia Bernard is a New Orleanian through and through. She embarked on her career in education, but as her journey unfolded, she stumbled upon something far more sinister.
I have experienced sexual assault twice in my life.
At 24 years old, Tia should have been enjoying her 20s. Instead, her trust in male companionship was tarnished.
I was raped on my 24th birthday by a friend who I grew up with. So I had known him about 10 to 12 years.
Tia says she didn't report the assault.
I've had several friends who were raped, and all I heard were horror stories about when they tried to report it, when they tried to go to court. And I just kept it to myself for years. I internalized it.
A resilient young woman who already endured the trauma of sexual assault bravely tried to continue with her life, but her resilience was once again tested.
The second time that I was sexually assaulted, it was by a friend who I had known for about 6 years.
She says she was assaulted again at a party. This time, she found the courage to go to police.
When I first walked in, the officer at the desk never even looked up. He just sat at his computer and was like, "What y'all here for?" "Oh, okay." You know, nothing. Didn't look me in my face.
Tia says her cries for help were met with uninterest, leaving her feeling betrayed. City Councilwoman Helena Moreno says Tia is not alone.
The biggest problem with domestic violence and sexual assault as well is that so often these crimes are not treated with the seriousness of the actual crime or assault. And that's been incredibly frustrating.
They can also be engaged with our staff here.
She says some headway has been made, like launching the AIR program, a partnership with the New Orleans Family Justice Center. The program connects a victim with an advocate who helps them navigate the justice system. It also places victims in emergency housing and helps with medical payments. Councilwoman Moreno says the state needs to allocate more money to funding prevention services.
It's like Louisiana, has constantly ranked as not a good place for women, which is probably one of the reasons why our rates of sexual assault and domestic violence look the way that they are.
That's why these survivors are sharing their stories.
I feel like I'm blooming more now, and it definitely feels good to not have to hide this anymore and to let people know that they are not alone, and that this is pretty common, and we're going to talk about it until we can't anymore, until these numbers in our city go down.
In doing so, reclaiming their voices.
People are embarrassed when it happens to them, so they're scared to tell anybody because you feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault.
Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.
Turner was sentenced to 15 years for attempted manslaughter and 5 years for simple kidnapping.
In response to Tia's experience reporting her assault, NOPD claims they reviewed what happened and said in part, quote, "At no point in the interaction was the desk officer unprofessional or required the victim to speak publicly in detail about her incident."
If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there is help. You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. Part 2 of this story will air Monday at 10.